Hello, everyone. I'm Marie Claude, and I am the owner of Seamscrest Farms. We are a grower of black currants in Pennsylvania. We're the only one in our area right now, and we're beginning our journey as an LLC. Currently, our black currants are the season is over. We've harvested all of them. We have 40 bushes on the property. 20 of them are helping us with our crop this season. And we have some berries that are in the freezer waiting for the peppers, hot peppers, to be ready and mature to make hot sauces. We have some that are going to be turned into jams, and we have some soaking to be making some crème de cassis, which will be ready just in time for Christmas. Today, what I wanted to do is a tour of our property. I wanted to record the progress of the LLC and also to show the garden, what we grow here on our home property, and it ever changes. So we are making changes to the garden all the time. We have ideas that are good sometimes and ideas that are bad. This isn't to show a perfect garden, it's to show opportunities. And so I hope you enjoy the tour, and let me know what you think. I'm beginning the tour in the front of our property at the pollinator garden. This area is full of different annuals and perennials. I try to have as many perennials as I can so I don't have to reseed or replant every year. But some flowers I really insist on having in there are zinnias, and those I keep the seeds from the prior year and reseed areas in that garden in the springtime. This garden looks very different in each season. In the spring, it has daffodils and tulips and the foxgloves that are growing against the trellis, and it's beautiful. I will leave pictures of that at the end of the tour. And in the summertime, it has more of the zinnias, and some of the bushes are the butterfly bushes, and weigelas are in bloom. There's the wisteria that's growing on the trellis, blooms in the spring, but there's also a honeysuckle. It's not the invasive kind, it's a proven winner one that is very contained, and it grows and flowers all summer, and it is smelling so delicious, especially in the morning when you walk around in the garden. This is the zinnias that I seed. I don't have a particular variety that I like. I keep seeds and I reseed them, and whatever comes back gets reseeded again the next year. So I've accumulated different kinds and I just mix and match them throughout the bed. I have some salvia in here. We have some asters that are going to show themselves in the fall only. So again, in the fall, that's going to take a totally different um, kind of view that it will offer. You can see the butterfly bushes here in the Weigela. That is showing some buds. Sometimes it reflowers twice for me, the Weigela, wine and rose Weigela, but most of the time it just flowers in the springtime. But the butterfly bushes currently are so beautiful and they attract so many butterflies. I use mulch in this bed. I would like to not have to mulch all the time, so I'm trying this ajuga, again, a gift from my sister, and to see if it can just take over, then I wouldn't have to mulch. That would be great because it's a lot of work and I prefer not doing that. I also have some beautiful calla lilies, bright orange calla lilies in the forefront of the bed. They're also donations that I love. We see a black lace elderberry. I have another one on the property and another bed closer to the house, but this has huge flowers, clusters in the springtime. In the summertime, it just is the bright burgundy foliage that it has. You can see here on the trellis the honeysuckle with the yellow flowers. It smells so good. We're moving on to the vegetable gardens. So this bed is, we call the front garden, has all our tomatoes currently and some other varieties of vegetables that we're growing. We have 36 tomato plants right now. Okay, yep, 36 tomato plants. They're all Roma tomatoes or San Marzano tomatoes because I use them to make all different kinds of sauces and diced tomatoes that I can over the winter. And we use all of them. I do have some surplus, and I invite my friends or anybody, neighbors, to come and pick tomatoes whenever I have extras. Our property has a lot of sunflowers. They are A lot of them are volunteer sunflowers, so leftover seeds that have dropped to the ground from last year. And I transplant the plugs that grow in the spring very carefully because they don't like to be transplanted. So I'm able to just move them around to kind of create a fence along the garden to help shade my tomato plants from the hot summer sun because it gets really hot here in the summertime. So we're going to enter the garden now. There's really not much left on the trellises, unfortunately. In the springtime, we had cucumbers and we have beans growing here, usually on the trellises. There's a little bit of beans left over on the right side of this trellis. The left side of the bed is pretty much empty. I'm trying to remember, we had beets in there. We grew beets, so the beets have been processed, and now there's some zucchinis and yellow squashes growing in the front beds. These two beds had garlic, and that was pulled in July, and I have a ton of garlic, so that was great this year. And left over on this trellis is actually some dried beans. I'm trying to grow black beans, cannellini beans, and I also have some scarlet runner beans that I'm trying to grow for the first time. These are the ones with the red flowers right there. So we'll see if I have any harvest of beans that I can dry and make some soups or chilies with. This tiny little bed left over has some lettuce. I'm waiting for the seeds so that I can keep them for next year. And there was a sage plant growing there. We see a little bit more of the second half of the tomato plants. But there's 20 of the plants that are on this side of the garden, and the bed that currently has the yellow squashes and the beans growing on it. This bed had celery in the spring in the front. You can see a couple celery growing back, and so I'm going to have another harvest of celery. But I used the celery for the spring to make celery salt. We don't really eat cut celery, but celery salt I add to soups and sauces, and so we use a lot of that. Now, this back garden was the original garden. Please excuse the fence. We need to change the fence. We actually added an irrigation system to the back bed. The front bed had one already, but we've added ground irrigation, so the fence need to be redone here. We see more of the sunflowers. We're going to enter that garden and see what's inside, but it's a little bit of a jungle in there. The potatoes in the front of this garden have to be harvested. Uh, so that will be a job for us this week. And some of the beds currently have some peppers and some cabbage, and we'll see a little bit more of that as we go in. There's also a bed of wildflowers that I grow in the center of this garden to attract more butterflies and bees. I'm just focusing in on a banana pepper plant. I didn't realize banana peppers actually turned red. I thought they ended yellow, but I must have left them on the vine long enough that they turned red. This year was a little bit chaotic. We have a lot going on, so I feel that my gardening was a little bit of a laissez-faire kind of an approach, but things grew. So I appreciate Mother Nature and the gift that she's given us. More sunflowers. You can see I love them. They're majestic, they're beautiful. You can also see our asparagus bed. That big bushy green fern is our asparagus. We have a large asparagus bed that gives us, it's 4 years old now, so it gives us a lot, or maybe 5, gives us a lot of asparagus. We just passed the horseradish bed that we harvest the roots for, and we use that to make horseradish sauce to make Bloody Marys. We're entering the blackcurrant area. There's some blackcurrant bushes here and some blueberries here against the garden fence. And there's also more blackcurrant bushes in the back of the garden. You're going to see them a little bit more, a little bit later in the video. That is 20 of our bushes that are close to this garden. It also helps protect the blueberries from the deer because the deer do not like the blueberries. As we enter the back of this garden, we see some butternut squashes, and I'm growing on the trellises. This first trellis has butternut squashes. And the beds on the bottom of it have our hot peppers. This side has the Sugar Rush peach peppers. They are a hot pepper. They do not taste like peach, but they have a sweet hint to them. I have some red chili peppers, or that you can use to make cayenne pepper or crushed red pepper flakes with. And of course, hot sauces that we're going to use them for. a little bit of a bed. You can see some of the irrigation system we've added. There's one tomato plant that grows in the bed we just saw, and it's the one indeterminate tomato plant that I've planted, and there's a few tomatoes growing there. This second trellis, as you saw, has the spaghetti squashes, and I'm a little late on my commentary, but it has about 10 spaghetti squashes growing in it. This bed has more hot peppers, jalapeno peppers, poblano peppers, and some also sweet bell peppers that I'm growing. I only have 2 or 3 red bell peppers because I have a lot of dehydrated red peppers left from last year in cans, and I use that to make soups, stews, and chilies. And that's about the extent of that we use the peppers. If I need cut bell peppers, I rehydrate them and add them to whatever recipe that we make. Little focus on the sunflowers in the back of our property. I'm hoping that it keeps the birds away from other things so that they can leave them alone. This bed is quite a mess. This is at the base of the spaghetti squashes. I have some red onions that I have to pull that are left over, some flowers like alyssum and some nasturtium that I'm using to detract bugs from the plants. Last year, my spaghetti squash and butternut squashes had so many bugs on them that I had practically no squashes on there. So this year I think that I was successful with keeping the bugs away by planting my squashes later and putting more flowers. I'm focusing there a little bit on the irrigation system that we put. It's just plain ground drip irrigation, not expensive, didn't take very long to add to the garden, but it was very good. The cabbage, though, not so good. This was the few of the cabbage that are left. They are not going to give me any cabbages, and I think it's because of these huge trees, the pine trees growing right above it. It must be the sap, or it's just there's not enough water going to them. Even with the drip system, it's been a very hot and dry season, so I just do not have a lot of cabbages. Other side view of that bed that had the onions and some of the flowers growing in there. I'm just going to pass through the wildflower area of the bed, and I have a lot of volunteer flowers growing in the middle of the pathways. And honestly, if those little flowers add enough heart and passion to grow, I am not going to be cutting them back. I'm happy that they're growing wherever, and flowers are pretty. So I will just step over them and let them live instead of pulling them. I'm focusing on the one indeterminate tomato plant that I have in the back garden now. I have about 6 or 7 tomatoes, not many actually. And I apologize if I'm making you nauseous here. An Allison plant that I tried to have to try to deter bugs from going into my other plants to try and keep them alive. And I think it works. I really do believe that if you plant more flowers in the garden, um, strategically around some vegetables, it will help with the harvest. Finally, this one bed here I'm going to show has some hot peppers. These tiny little peppers, I'm not sure what they're supposed to be. I think they're supposed to be poblano peppers, but they're so tiny. I'm not sure if they're going to reach maturity because we are in August and they're still so tiny. And they need hot weather, I believe, to grow. So I think I started them too late. And I had some carrots growing in this bed at first. I think it provided just too much. The carrots kind of overwhelmed the peppers, and my peppers didn't grow until after I pulled the carrots out of the bed. And now they're starting to finally produce something. And that's it for this, pardon my fingers, that's it for the back garden. I'm going to take you now to the other side of the property where we have some of our grapevines. We have 2 grapevines growing. We also have some strawberry beds. They've been mowed to the ground now, and nothing. Did not plant anything. I sometimes put pumpkins there, but this year I put them in another area, and I just let these strawberry beds rest. And I'm going to put some mulch over the fall, and hopefully the strawberries come back next year. If not, I might have to replant some strawberries here. Finally, I wanted to show the status of the orchard. A few weeks back, I posted some pictures of the blackcurrant transplants that I put there. There's, I think, 23 of them there. And I wanted to create a permaculture garden over here. So what I did is I already had some fruit trees, apple trees, pear trees, and a peach tree. And hopefully, with the years, the trees will provide some shade for the blackcurrant. Again, the purpose of having the blackcurrant on our home property is to try to figure out climate, position, sunlight, what helps, what doesn't help, what kind of mulch to use, what kind of ground cover to use to help protect the roots of the blackcurrants. So this is my experiment for this year. I transplanted about 6-inch twigs into I put them in a planter, and they grew so big. I was able to put them into the ground just a few weeks ago, and they're now very nice looking. And I'm sure that the root system has taken in, and they're going to be great next year. Focusing on the pear tree that we have two pear trees. This is one of them. It's produced so many pears. I've taken in 14 of them a couple days ago, and I need to harvest these out of the tree. The other one had as many pears on it. This is our peach tree. It's new for this year, so it hasn't given us any peaches, but I'm just happy that it survived in the hot sun and I was able to keep it alive. It has leaves. I'm happy. As a part of the permaculture, I decided to try pumpkins to try to shade and hopefully in the fall provide some mulch for the area. And I have a few pumpkins growing. So I think I've seen 3 so far on the vine. Again, we're August 15th. I'm hoping that by October, I'll have enough to at least decorate my front porch with a couple pumpkins, or maybe keep some to make some pumpkin puree for pumpkin pie. But this area right here, which I thought was pumpkins, I think it's just a weed, but it gave me the idea of using pumpkin as a ground cover. It kind of looked like a pumpkin leaf, but I don't think it is. No, but it's full of bees. They love it. So that's the orchard area that we just started this year. This last portion of the video shows the south side of our house. This is a new bed that I expanded. The crepe myrtle and the grass against the porch area, that was there, but I added the rest. I'm planning next year to make this another flower bed. So I kind of added some random things to it this year, but in hope that next year I can work on this better. But I really wanted to record the progress. So here it is, raw and untamed. But I just have the mulch down. It's going to kill the grass that was underneath it, and I'm hoping that next year I can start fresh with this area. We're going to move to the front of the house. Our hockey net is not growing anything, but it's stored there for the summer because as a Canadian family, we have an ice rink in the yard, and that's where we put the net over the summer. So this south side of the house, this is the front of the house, front corner, has a lot of greens and things that grow in the spring. In the summer, not much flowers. It's so hot over there. I try to put plants that are hot tolerant, heat tolerant. In the spring, there's peonies. There are peonies that grow here and a baptisia that grows beautiful purple flowers. Some grasses. We have a cherry tree in the front yard. It's as old as the house. It grows white flowers in the springtime, and they last about 2 days because it's so windy that if you missed that window of opportunity of that 2 days of flowers, then next thing you know, they're gone. But the tree looks good. Against the house on that trellis is a wisteria, and it grows purple flowers, and it does not last all summer for me. It only grows purple flowers maybe early summer only. I grow annuals. We have sun patients in the front yard. I don't like to have a lot of annuals because I don't like to replace them every year. But in the front yard, I'm okay with having a few because they are very colorful and they last through the first frost. There's some salvia in the front yard. I'm not a fan of salvia. They'll be replaced, I believe. As I said, this garden ever changes. It took us 30 years to get where we're at, and continue to change. But the salvia I would like to change to something else. There's some shade in the front yard from that sugar maple that is so beautiful in the fall. But otherwise, it's pretty much in the sun. I have some more wine and roses Weigela with the pink trumpet, and that is full of flowers in the spring. And also that carpet phlox that has pink and purple flowers. Kind of looks messy in the summer though, but in the springtime, I think nothing beats it. It's really the first thing that flowers, and it looks amazing. We have some echinacea growing in the yard. And again, this you can just see the other side of the sun patience and the front of the house. Now we're moving to the north side of the house. There's some sun in the morning and late afternoon. I have some spirea bushes. I love them. They change color every season. Pink flowers, the leaves go from chartreuse to dark green to red. They're just beautiful to have. I have one chrysanthemum. It's bright red, so in by Halloween or October it'll be bright red. I also have one rose bush, two rose bushes on the property, one by the grapevine that helps us kind of figure out the health of our grapes every year. If the rose bush is healthy, our grapes are healthy. But I have one in the front yard. The only thing about it is I don't like to be pricked by the thorns, so I would rather not have roses. But this one I can tolerate, but it gets cut to the ground every year. There's one hydrangea that I love, white flowers in the spring, pink in the fall, some hostas on the north side as well, and the variegated grass that have small little purple shoots all over them, and they look beautiful in the fall. This side we just started working on. It's kind of our utility side of the house. And but I have some nice things. There's some bubblegum petunia from Proven Winner. There's one plant in that huge container and it grows and overflows. These are really good ones to have. This side gets a lot of shade, so I have some shaded plants. I think these are viburnums. I have some of the calla lilies with the bright orange flowers, some elephant ears, and some dahlias bulbs that are growing in that bed. Some more containers with some trailing plants and a water feature that I added this year. Again, we're kind of refinishing this area, and another one of those containers with one Supertunia bubble gum and one of the sweet potato vine that I added in there. Just one plant of each. It filled that huge 3-foot round container. Lastly, I wanted to show my lived-in deck. We use the pool a lot. It's hot. I wanted to show the nice herb garden that Mark built this year. I'm very thankful of the hard work he put in it because I much prefer walking right out on the deck, get the herbs I need to cook the dishes that I'm cooking versus putting my boots on, walking to the garden. I know it might be a little lazy on my part, but it's so convenient to have this right there by the house. I like these little pink gomphrenias that are growing in those containers. They were grown from seed, and I really love them. This concludes the tour. I'm finishing with some pictures of the spring butterfly garden area, and I hope you enjoy them. Thank you.